What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing another first look at the NBA PrizePicks board for February 9th. It's a little after 2 p.m., getting a little bit of a later start than I would have liked to, but not only are we going to look at PrizePicks, we're also going to, at the end of the video, look at Monkey Knife Fight and their more or less game mode, which is pretty much just like PrizePicks, where you're picking the over or the under on a player's fantasy projection. So we'll take a look at that at the end of the video too, for those of you who are interested. But if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. If you're one of my subscribers already, well, welcome back. And this channel, we typically do daily fantasy sports videos. In fact, it's focused more on single player daily fantasy sports videos. So if you're into that, definitely hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, like this video, drop a comment below, and share this video with the entire world. Now, I just want to take a moment to give big shout outs to everybody who's in the Premium PrizePicks channel. Anybody who's a Premium PrizePicks member in our Discord, by the way, link to the Discord is in the description of this video. Congratulations to you guys. I know a ton of you were in the winner's circle chat posting those winning screenshots. We had a tremendous day yesterday overall as far as the premium members go. So I hope that after this video and the projections are all done on the sheet, that we can run it back, man, and go get some more bags over on PrizePicks tonight. But without further ado, let's talk injury news real quick. We've got LaMarcus Aldridge, San Antonio Spurs power forward, who is considered out tonight with a hip flexor. We've got Christian Wood, Houston Rockets power forward, is out indefinitely with an ankle injury. Kevin Durant out until Friday due to COVID protocol. We've got Kyrie Irving, who is probable. He's likely to play tonight with a finger injury. Victor Oladipo is going to be out due to rest. Aaron Gordon is out indefinitely with an ankle injury. Yusuf Nurkic, CJ McCollum, both out for the Portland Trail Blazers due to wrist and foot injuries. Jaylen Brown is questionable with left knee soreness. And Mike Conley is dealing with a hamstring injury. He is out as well. So those are the main names. We'll just talk the players with the impact rating of 10. Those are the most severe injuries, the most detrimental to fantasy lineups. So wanted to touch on those real quick, but with that out of the way, we can finally start talking some PrizePicks projections, and we'll start at the top of the board here with James Harden, who's projected for 53 fantasy points today. 53, no Kevin Durant in the lineup. It'll be a James Harden and Kyrie Irving show. He's taking on the Detroit Pistons tonight. That game tips off at 7:10 p.m. over on PrizePicks. Let's look at his projections on RotoGrinders. RotoGrinders has him at 53.7, so that would be a slight over on his projection versus PrizePicks. Opening up his recent game logs, 48.6, 46.4. We got a 58.4 3 games back against the Clippers. We have a blank here, 4 games back, missed that game against Washington, and then 55.5 and a 69.1. So as you can see in his last 5 games that he played in, excuse me, he went over tonight's projection of 53 in 3 out of the 5. So looking back here, I don't see a previous game of James Harden versus the Pistons. So let's skip ahead and talk minutes tonight. They've got him projected to play 37 minutes. He's a combo guard. Combo guards rank 16th. Actually, Detroit ranks 16th against combo guards, so not a tough matchup. This isn't a back-to-back 2 games or 3 games in 4 nights situation for James Harden, so he should be well rested and ready to go. He's playing 38 minutes per game on average, putting up a very good 1.31 fantasy points per minute. Love to see that. And his usage rating is 28.27. So I would expect Harden to take on more of the scoring load tonight without Kevin Durant in the lineup. Same can be said for Kyrie Irving. So in the past few games with James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie all in there together, Harden's kind of been more the point guard and letting Irving and Durant take on more of the scoring. But I kind of expect Harden to have to step up a bit and get some buckets tonight. So I do think that 53 is a pretty fair projection, and there's a chance that he could possibly go over as well. Now, looking at the game totals and spread here, because we've got to always talk game totals and spread, because we don't want to play anybody who's in a blowout situation. Those are the hardest ones to predict. when there's blowout potential on the board, you don't feel so good about taking a superstar over, because if the game gets out of hand, those superstars go to the bench early. And taking a superstar under is never a good feeling as well. So like a James Harden, for example, taking him under 53 in a blowout, well, sometimes I guess it could work out, but there's also the chance that that guy's so good that he's the reason for the blowout, that he's going nuclear and having a great game. So it's a very tricky situation. So in blowout situations, I typically tend to take stars and take them in first half formats only, and then probably take the over on their first half only projections. That's the way I like to play it. But back to this game, Detroit 111.5. They're a pretty big underdog versus Brooklyn. Brooklyn projected for 118 points. So they're a 6.5 point favorite. I wouldn't put this in red zone for me, but I would definitely say it's a strong orange. And there's a chance that Brooklyn is just the more talented team and will run away with this game at some point. So let's talk the next guy, though. We got to talk Detroit Pistons basketball here. Jeremy Grant, his projections at 37, a little lower than it was earlier in the season. So let's take a look at Jeremy Grant tonight and see if we're taking the over or under on him. Well, Roto Grinders likes the over by almost 2 points. They've got him as a 1.86 fantasy point over versus PrizePicks. So pretty good there. We know that this game will be pretty high scoring. Both teams expected to score 110 points or more, so that's what I consider high scoring whenever they combine for a total of 220 points or more. I love to see that in terms of fantasy point potential. So his last game against the Lakers was a very good one, 53.8 points there, 26.9, not very good against Phoenix, 45.8 against Utah, 21.7, and a 26.6. So it's been a bit of a mixed bag for Jeremy Grant in his last 5 games. Bit of highs and lows here. Not a very consistent player as of lately. Looking back here, no previous game logs against Brooklyn. We could jump right ahead to the minutes, where he's looking to play 35 minutes tonight, according to Roto Grinders and their projection makers. He is a versatile forward. Brooklyn does rank 5th against versatile forwards. Not the easiest matchup on paper, but Jeremy Grant will be well rested here for this game. No back-to-back situation, 2 games in 3 nights, 3 games in 4 nights, none of that. Playing over 36 minutes a night, putting up over 1 fantasy point per minute, and his usage rating is 25.29, so good usage, good fantasy point per minute score for the Detroit Pistons. So there you have it for Jeremy Grant. And that wraps up that game. Let's move ahead here and talk the next one. We've got kind of an old school rivalry. If you grew up in the 90s like I did, and even into the early 2000s, the New York Knicks Miami Heat rivalry was a very, very good one. You had guys like Patrick Ewing and John Starks and Allen Houston on the New York side, even Latrell Sprewell later on. And then on the Miami side, Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, P.J. Brown, who could forget that guy. But anyway, tonight, we've got some new blood in this New York Knicks Miami Heat rivalry. Let's talk Julius Randle, who is projected for 43 points over on PrizePicks. He's a power forward. Let's go and look here. They got him at 43.18 on Roto Grinders, which puts him pretty much in line with PrizePicks. I haven't seen really a good edge lately with Julius Randle taking overs or unders. They've been pretty on point with his projections as of late, but let's look at his recent game logs and see what he's been up to. In his last one, 52.1, which was against Miami, the same opponent he'll be facing tonight. So he did put up a good game there. I think there's a strong chance that he can repeat that. Maybe not get up to 52, but get over the 43 that he's projected at tonight. In his last game, 40.2 against Portland, 46.2 against Chicago, 47.7 against Chicago, and a 45.9 against the Clippers. So been playing pretty good basketball in his last 5 here, actually going over his projection of 43 tonight, 4 out of his last 5 games, so you love to see that. Let's go ahead and talk minutes projections here. He's looking to play 36 minutes as a versatile bigs against Miami. Looks like a tough one on paper for him. Miami ranking 6th in the league. This is a 3 games and 4 night situation for Randle. Maybe fatigue plays a little bit of a factor. Playing just under 37 minutes a night, a good 1.21 fantasy point per minute average, and his usage rating over that 25 mark that we like to see, putting him in very good territory here at 26.87. Now, moving ahead here and talking game totals and spread, this game is one of the lower scoring games up on the board tonight. Miami, 107.5. They're the home team favored by about 6.5 points against the New York Knicks. So don't feel like this is a green one. This is more of the yellow to orange category for me in terms of blowout potential. So be very careful. Be mindful of full game formats. If you're going to take anybody in a full game format, make sure it's going to be somebody who is, high fantasy points per minute, high usage rating, or just don't do it at all and just stick to a first half only format. I'm going to keep hitting that nail on the head and hammering that point home because it's super, super important. I've been burned. So many other people have been burned by blowouts this NBA season, and I'm trying to spread the word and help you guys suffer less burns. So let's move ahead and talk the next guy on the game here. Bam Adebayo, Miami Heat center, 43 is his fantasy projection. Looking over on Roto Grinders, they got Bam at power forward on Roto Grinders, and we use FanDuel projections because FanDuel, PrizePicks, same type of scoring system, so that's good news for us. But Bam is projected for 43.47 points. Now let's look at his recent game logs and see what Bam has been up to. 49.7 in his last meeting against New York. So both Bam and Julius Randle, the two best big men for both teams, had very good fantasy point games. Maybe that happens again tonight. We'll just have to see. But the game before that, bit of a downer, 39.3. Going back 3 games, 45.2, 4 games ago, 44.8, and 5 games back, like we like to do, 43.6. So that projection tonight of 43, he's went over 4 times in his last 5 games. That's pretty good. So him and Randall both have gone over their fantasy projection for tonight of 43 in 4 of 5. So you love to see that. It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Now looking at the minutes here, he's expected to play 35. He is a versatile big. New York ranking 8th against versatile bigs. He'll likely face both Randall and Mitchell Robinson in this game. 2 games in 3 nights, playing over 33 minutes per game, 1.26 fantasy points per minute, and his usage rating is at 24.16. So not bad numbers in terms of fantasy points per minute and usage for a big man who plays that power forward center role for the Miami Heat. So there you have it on that game. Let's move ahead and talk Houston Rockets versus New Orleans Pelicans. This game tips off at 7:40 p.m. That's PrizePicks time. The highest scoring guy here for New Orleans will be Zion Williamson. Let's talk about him real quick. He's been playing pretty good basketball lately. His projection of 40 seems like it's a little high according to Roto Grinders. They like the under at 39.26, but it's very, very close. So 39.40 seems to be pretty right. Seems to be in the ballpark for Zion. Now in his last game, he went for 45.3, which would put him over. 36.3 in this one would be an under. 48.4 against Phoenix would be a good over there. 40.6 and a 39.4. So at 40 is a little tricky. I did like him when he was at 39. That felt a little bit more comfortable. I know it's just 1 point, but something about that just sounds better. 39 sounds a lot more achievable when you're talking overs on Zion Williamson than the 40 does. But looking back here, he does have a game against Houston not that long ago, January 30th. He played over 29 minutes, ended the game with 39.4 fantasy points. So he does have the ability to get up there to 40 plus fantasy points. He didn't do so in his last one against Houston, but maybe he does tonight. Let's look at his minutes next. 33 minutes and versatile forwards against Houston. This should be a pretty good matchup, at least on paper here for Zion. He should be well rested, not facing any kind of back-to-back, 2 games in 3 nights, 3 games in 4 nights situation. Playing nearly 33 minutes per game, 1.2 fantasy points per minute, and his usage rating over 27. Very good usage number there. Now, New Orleans, 116 points. They are a 6-point home favorite. Houston, 6-point underdogs on the road. Wouldn't call this a green game for me. I would probably put this in that yellow range. creeping into orange territory for me in terms of blowout potential. I don't expect it to get out of hand early. I think if this game does live up to the Vegas odds makers spread of 6, then I think it would probably come later on in the game. It might start getting out of hand. So not really worried about this one. Houston has enough talent on their side of the ball to hang around, I think, with this New Orleans Pelicans team. So let's go ahead and talk the next guy, and that would be John Wall, projected for 40 points tonight. 40 for John Wall. Seems like a little bit of a high number, but let's take a look. 38 over on Roto Grinders. They like the under on Wall, who has missed some games here and there throughout the season and kind of been a little inconsistent. His last game was 40.9. That's actually the best game that he has in his recent game logs. The only game where he's went over 40. 28.2 against Memphis. He missed this game against OKC. His first game against OKC, 38.7. 34.9 and 36. So he's failed to hit 40 or more in every game except for one in his last 7 games. So 40 for me, a little steep, but I don't know, man. Maybe he gets there. Tonight he's in his last game rather against New Orleans, he played 26 minutes, ended with 34.9 points. So tonight he's projected to play 32 minutes as a combo guard. The Pelicans defend combo guards pretty well. This is a tough matchup on paper. Another thing to consider, back-to-back 3 games in 4 nights for John Wall, but not entirely true because he did sit out the game against OKC back on February 3rd. So he should have, I would say, more rest than some of the other guys on the Rockets. He's playing just under 30 minutes a night, 1.14 fantasy points per minute, and his usage is over 29.56. So there you have it on John Wall. Should be a fun game between those two teams. Let's move ahead here and talk Golden State Warriors versus San Antonio Spurs. We've got Steph Curry. Let's talk Steph. 50 is his projection tonight over on PrizePicks. That is quite a bit high according to Roto Grinders. They've got him at 46.93, which is close enough for me to round up to 47. Even at 47, guys, that puts him 3 points under his projection over on PrizePicks. So let's look at his recent game logs and figure out if the over or the under is the way to go on Curry. Now, his last couple of games have been pretty good. In fact, his last game was against San Antonio. This is another one of those little rematch games where they run it back in back-to-back games. They've been doing that a lot lately. Curry put up 51.4 against San Antonio last night. 69.9 against Dallas, 38.6, a downer there, 69.2 against Boston, and then a 45.5 point game against the Detroit Pistons. So as you can see in his last 5 games, he's went 50 or more in 3 out of 5, but maybe fatigue plays a factor. Maybe the rematch plays a little bit of a factor here. San Antonio potentially maybe doing a better job guarding him in a back-to-back. Let's find out. 35 minutes is his projection tonight. He's a combo guard. San Antonio ranking 28th in the league against combo guards. We mentioned this is a back-to-back for Curry. 3 games in 4 nights as well. So definitely some fatigue factor could play a part here. Playing under 34 minutes per game at 33.8, 1.36 fantasy points per minute, the highest number of all point guards on the board tonight. And he also owns the highest usage rating amongst all point guards on the board as well at 32.84. So when he's out on the court, he's heavily involved for Golden State. This is no secret. I am not revealing anything new or extraordinary. We know Steph Curry is the heart and soul of this Golden State Warriors team, especially when the likes of Klay Thompson are out and sidelined like he is. But looking at the game totals here, San Antonio 114.25, Golden State 115.25. So good totals here. This game's looking to reach about 230 points, 229 points. Love that total for fantasy purposes. I also really love the spread of just 1 point. There's no risk of any type of blowout. It looks like it's going to stay close and competitive. So if it does go the distance, maybe Curry can go over this 46.93, but man, that 50 is looking kind of steep. course, he's got all the talent in the world, and he's got the green light to shoot the ball, score the ball as much as he wants. So there you have it. I'll dig in a little deeper for sure on Steph Curry in tonight's premium prize pick spreadsheet. But moving on to the next guy is DeMar DeRozan, 41. So we saw DeMar DeRozan in recent days at like 38, 39, I want to say. Now he's shooting back up. He's back up to 41. And, probably for good reason here. He's been playing some pretty good basketball as of late. And tonight they got him at 40 over on Roto Grinders. So that would put him 1 point under. But if you look at his last few games, 41.2, 49.1, 46.6. Bad game here at 30 and a bad game here at 6.7. Now, he played 25 minutes in that one and 29 in the other game, but his minutes in his last 3 games have been very good, 40, 37, 35. So that's what we're hoping for from DeMar DeRozan tonight, a healthy share of minutes. And as you can see, he put up 41.2 against Golden State last night. Maybe he runs it back. Maybe he can do it again. Let's look at his minutes projection today. 35. He is a scoring wing. Golden State ranking 25th against scoring wings. So that's one of the worst defensive ratings against scoring wings in all of the league. There's literally only 5 teams that are worse than them at guarding guys like DeMar DeRozan. Back-to-back situation, 3 games in 4 nights, playing just under 34 minutes a night, 1.14 fantasy points per minute. You like to see that. And his usage rating, pretty good. Not very good, not even great, but 24.66, not too shabby. So I'm loving the game total. I'm loving the spread. I think that, taking stars in this game is quite all right. And, if you could find an edge on over or under, well, that's probably the way to go. I don't mind taking guys like DeRozan and Curry in first half only formats as well. So always keep that in mind. First half is usually a pretty good deal because what I've noticed on prize picks on a guy like Curry, let's say he's projected for 50, instead of them just chopping it cleanly right down the middle and saying Curry's going to score 25 fantasy points in the first half, they'll usually give you a little bit of wiggle room. They'll call it 24 or 24 point something. So there's a little bit of an edge to be had there in some cases. So always a good play to play first half only on some of these guys. But skipping ahead here, we've got the Orlando Magic, my team. You know what? I'm going to turn it around. We're going to rock the Magic logo here for the rest of this video. Let's go, Magic. I know we're having a tough season, but doggone it. Vucevic, you deserve to be in the All-Star game. If it was up to me, you'd be starting for the All-Star team in the East. But let's talk Vucevic real quick. He's projected for 50 points tonight. Big number for Vuce. If you remember in the last week or so, he's been around 46.5. I've seen him at 47. Shoot, I think I even had him at 45 at one point. But now, he is up there, man. This is peak Vucevic. He's went Super Saiyan. 50.15 is his projection over on Roto Grinders. So they seem to think that the 50 is appropriate here. They're kind of right in line with prize picks. His last game against Chicago was a letdown, but he only played 24 minutes. Didn't shoot the ball incredibly well, 7 for 17, but ended up probably getting blown out there. I don't remember the result of that one off the top of my head, but the game before that was a monster game, 73.8. So I think a lot of people were experiencing a bit of recency bias on Vucevic, hoping that he could do it again against the Chicago Bulls. Now, I wasn't falling for it. I didn't think 73.8 was going to happen again. Shoot, I didn't even think that 50 was going to happen again. But, 34, that was way less than I expected. I did expect him to have a closer game to 40, 45 points. It just didn't get there for him. But going back 3 games, 46.6 against Toronto, 43.8 against Toronto, and 15.7 against the Clippers. Really, really bad game. One of his worst games in recent memory. But looking at the game logs here, I don't see a matchup against Portland to compare to, so we'll skip ahead and talk minutes. 35 minutes tonight, good number there. Of course, he's always out on the floor for this Magic team most nights. He is a versatile big. Portland ranking just 16th in the league against versatile bigs. Now he's facing Enes Kanter in this one. Guys, Enes Kanter, not somebody that I'm worried about shutting Vucevic down. I don't think Enes Kanter is a great one-on-one defender. think he's great at rebounding. I think he's a pretty decent little inside scorer, but if this was like Nurkic versus Vucevic, I'd have a little bit more concern. Nurkic is a big-bodied, strong kid. I'm not really worried about the smaller guy in Enes Kanter. I think Vucevic can eat him up tonight. He should be well rested. 33.1 minutes per game, 1.36 fantasy points per minute for Vooch, 27.92 usage rating. Huge usage rating for a big man. You don't see big guys going 25 or more in terms of usage rating most of the time. So he's very, very involved. Now, skipping ahead, this is a late game here, tipping off around 10 p.m. Portland, 113.25. Pretty good favorite at home. Orlando, 107.25. So we're looking at a spread of 6 points here. I do put this in that yellow, creeping into orange category. There is some risk for blowout potential. So, first half, I'm going to keep hammering it. First half overs on a guy like Vucevic, definitely in play here. I get a little bit concerned, a little bit gun shy to play these guys in full game formats when the spread is over 5. So I would give it some real consideration, guys. Don't play them in first half formats. Don't play them in full game formats. Play them in a first half format. I think that's a safer way to go with your money tonight. Now let's skip ahead and talk the other side of this game. We've got Damian Lillard. PrizePicks wants to bug out like they always do. Let's exit. Let's refresh. All right, we're back in the game. Damian Lillard tonight is projected for 50 points, so let's filter out all positions and just look at point guards. Lillard projected for over 49, which would put him under on PrizePicks. His recent games, 55.3 against New York, huge game there. He missed this game against Philly, but 46.4 against Washington, 37.1 against Milwaukee, 62.5 against Chicago, very big game there, and a 44.3 against Houston. So this projection tonight of 50, he's went over 50 2 times in his last 5 games. Looking back, no games against Orlando. His minutes, 36 minutes tonight. Good, healthy total there. He is a combo guard. Orlando ranking just 21st in the league against combo guards. This is not a difficult matchup for Damian Lillard. I'm not really worried about matchups for Lillard most nights anyway. He's good enough that he can, pretty much be put in that matchup-proof category if you ask me. He should be well rested, playing over 36 minutes per game this season. 1.28 fantasy points per minute, and his usage rating well over 30, putting him in that elite class of 30 or more. 31.51 is his usage rating, so I love to see that. So again, I like Damian Lillard, but I like him in first half only formats and probably stick to taking the over. Let's move ahead and talk the next game. We got the Philadelphia 76ers against the Sacramento Kings. Big man, Joel Embiid. I feel like it's been a while since we talked Embiid, but we're going to do it right here, right now. 50 is his projection, and I think that number is a good one for Embiid. I think he can get it done because he's been having a killer season, MVP caliber season, in my opinion. And tonight they like him to go over 50 on Roto Grinders. In his recent games, 52.3 against Brooklyn, good enough for an over on tonight's projection. 45.5 against Portland. He was cooking in that game. Unfortunately, that game I believe got out of hand, and unfortunately he came up a little bit short. 54.2 against Charlotte. Missed this game against Indiana. 57.7 against Minnesota, and 42.2. So you can see, guys, Doc Rivers is wisening up. He is running the offense through Joel Embiid, as he should. He is by far their most talented player. No game logs to talk as far as Embiid versus Sacramento. Moving ahead, he's going to be playing 33 minutes tonight, and he'll probably face the likes of Richaun Holmes, who knows Embiid very well. Holmes, a former 76er himself. I don't expect Holmes to do anything to slow down Joel Embiid. There's not many people in the league that's going to, have the ability to do that. Maybe like a Rudy Gobert, but even that, is asking a lot. But the Kings rank 20th against versatile bigs. Embiid will be well rested tonight. That little hyperextension of his knee, I think that is going to be fine for him tonight. He's playing just under 32 minutes per game this season, 1.59 fantasy points per minute. Huge number there, better than most players in the league. And then his usage rating, 32.61, the highest amongst all centers on the board. So this game, Sacramento, 112.25. They are a underdog at home, looking like 5.5 point underdogs. Philadelphia expected to score 117.75. I do like the totals on this game, almost reaching that 230 point mark when you combine the totals of both teams. Plenty of fantasy goodness here. I hope it stays close enough in the second half for Embiid to get all of his. I do like the over on him if it does stay close enough and he gets enough minutes to go to work. So next guy we're going to talk, De'Aaron Fox, Sacramento Kings point guard. Let's take a look at Roto Grinders and see where they like the Fox. 40.96. We're calling it 41, which puts him just a bit under here of 42, making him a 1 point under so far. In recent memory here, 53.3, huge game against the Clips, 31.9 against the Nuggets, 46.7 against the Celtics, 57.8 against New Orleans, and 44.2 against Miami. So when you look at the last 5 games here, guys, that projection of just 42 is looking like a number that he could just eat up. So he's went over 42 once, twice, 3 times, 4 times in his last 5 games. No previous game logs of Mr. Fox versus the 76ers. So moving ahead and talking minutes, they like him to play 36 minutes tonight. This matchup is looking oh so juicy. Philadelphia ranking just 27th in the league against point guards who are deemed combo guards like De'Aaron Fox. This is 3 games and 4 nights. Maybe fatigue plays a little factor, but De'Aaron Fox, pretty good athlete, should be well conditioned. Playing just under 33 minutes a night on the season and 1.17 fantasy points per minute and a usage rating of over 31. Huge number there. Not too many folks reaching that 31 or more usage rating number. So again, great totals in this game. The spread, a little worrisome. I put it probably in that yellow zone, not quite orange for me. I hope it stays close enough for these guys to eat because it looks like the matchups are great and that there's plenty of points in terms of real life team points for these guys to do what they do best and get us some fantasy points. So let's move ahead. We've got the very, very last game here on the board, which is the Boston Celtics versus the Utah Jazz. We've got some pretty big names in this one, folks like Jayson Tatum, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown. Today we're talking Jayson Tatum. His projection is 44 on PrizePicks. Let's take a look at Roto Grinders and see where they like Tatum tonight. They've got him at 42.03, which is a pretty big under. If you look at the 44 here, that puts him about 2 points under his projection on PrizePicks. Opening up the game logs, looking at what Tatum's been up to in recent memory here, 41.3. That would be an under on tonight's projection. 55.4, that's a sizable over. 54.8, that would be another sizable over on tonight's projection. 38.3 and 47.3. So if we screenshot here, snapshot these last 5 games, he's went over tonight's projection once, twice, 3 times out of his last 5 games. We don't have a matchup against Utah to compare to. So let's go ahead and talk minutes. His projected minutes, 37. Love to see that. He should be out on the court quite a bit here. He's a versatile forward. Utah doing a good job against versatile forwards, ranking 7th in the league. So the matchup on paper against Tatum, a tough one. It's not going to be an easy one, but at the end of the day, these guys got to go out on the court and they've got to play each other. And paper doesn't matter. Paper projections don't matter. So 2 games and 3 nights. A little bit of a fatigue factor possibly for Tatum. 35.6 minutes per game this season. 1.26 fantasy points per minute, and his usage rating over 30, approaching 31. Love the usage and fantasy points numbers for Tatum here. Now looking at the game totals, Utah pretty big favorite at home, 113. Boston expected to score just 107 points here. So we're talking about a spread of 6 points, which puts this in an yellow to orange category for me. Hopefully Boston can make it competitive, but there is a little bit of a risk here. So again, going back to what I've been saying for some of these games that are blowout risks, take the first half, take the over on these guys if you're worried about this game getting out of hand. If you think Boston hangs around with Utah and it stays competitive into the fourth quarter, well then, play these guys in full game formats, or, consider some single stat stuff. You never know. We'll post some single stat stuff in the premium PrizePicks NBA sheet, of course, as we always do. Final guy we're going to talk about on PrizePicks is Donovan Mitchell. He's projected for 40 tonight. Let's take a look at the Spider and see where they have him projected on Roto Grinders. They like a slight over, but they're pretty much on point with PrizePicks. So this may be a situation where we fade it because we're not seeing an edge over or under here versus PrizePicks. Now let's look at his game logs. Maybe it'll tell a different tale. His last game was a good one, 52.3. Very good one for him. 40.1 against Charlotte. 34.1 against Atlanta, falling quite a bit short of tonight's projection. 42.7 against Detroit, and then 16.7 against Denver, a total dud, a total letdown. So in his last 5 games here, you can see he's went over tonight's projection of 40. Total of 3 out of 5 games, so that's okay. That's not terrible, but we don't have a game log of Mitchell versus Boston, so let's skip ahead and talk Mitchell's minutes tonight. 36 minutes on the board here for Mitchell. Oh, cool. Orlando Magic fan here. Al-Farouq Amino is expected to rejoin the team and play tonight. Good for us. Maybe he'll help us out. Mitchell, combo guard ranking, Boston ranking 3rd against combo guards. Pretty tough matchup again on paper, but that's just on paper. They still got to tip the ball and go out there and play basketball, so I'm not too worried about paper. 2 games in 3 nights for Mitchell. 33.4 minutes per game is his average for the season. Playing over 1.0, or sorry, not playing over, but putting up over 1.09 fantasy points per minute. Good number there. And his usage rating over 30 at 30.59. So like the matchup here, Boston, Utah should stay somewhat close. I hope it does. It seems like Boston's got a good enough team, talented enough team to hang with the Jazz, but if you're concerned that it doesn't for whatever reason, first half. That's the theme of today's video and all the videos. If you're afraid of blowouts, take the first half only. Now, for you monkey knife fight players out there, this little segment is for you. Let's look at their projections real quick. 54.5 for James Harden. Let's take a look and see where they like James Harden on Roto Grinders. So they got him at 53.7. So the 54.5 seems a bit high if you're playing over on Monkey Knife Fight and playing their more or less game where you're doing exactly what you do on PrizePicks, where you take the over or the under on a projection for fantasy points. The next one we're going to talk about is Steph Curry at 50.5. So we go down, find Curry here. They got him at 46.93. This looks like a very good less opportunity, an opportunity for you to take the under on Steph Curry, as his projection on Monkey Knife Fight seems quite a bit high at 50.5. Dame Lillard, 50.5. He's another guy here who, taking the under on Damian Lillard looks like the way to go. They've got him projected at 49, so you can go less on Damian Lillard. Nikola Vucevic, 50.5. This would be one that I would probably avoid. The projections are just too close on the 2 sites that we're looking at, Roto Grinders versus Monkey Knife Fight, so I'd probably avoid Vucevic. He'd be a fade for me. Joel Embiid at 48.5 seems too low. This would be a more for me. I would probably take the over on Joel Embiid, as he is projected for over 51 on Roto Grinders tonight, so I love that. Kyrie Irving is going to play, has a little bit of a finger issue, 47.5 points. We didn't talk Kyrie Irving when we did our PrizePicks coverage, but Kyrie, 47.89. This is a situation for me that I would probably fade. Wouldn't touch Kyrie Irving with a 10-foot pole. Jayson Tatum, 45.5. We just talked Jayson Tatum. The 45.5 for Tatum seems a bit high, so this would be a less opportunity where you can take the under on Jayson Tatum here. And finally, Jimmy Buckets, Jimmy Butler, another guy we didn't get a chance to talk about in the PrizePicks breakdown. His projection on Roto Grinders, 44.82. A little too close for comfort for me, so I probably wouldn't touch Jimmy Butler either. Of course, what we're looking at here is an 8 out of 8 pick. So they allow 8 picks on Monkey Knife Fight. you get all 8 picks right, you get 100x your buy-in. It's absolutely insane. So if you feel like you've got the inside edge or the inside scoop on an 8 pick, well, guys, you get 100x your freaking buy-in. Put in $1, that's $100. You put in $100, well, that's way more money than my brain knows how to calculate. But that's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate you guys tuning in here on Out of Bounds. We're going to continue to bring you all of the best single player daily fantasy information, news going forward. That's going to be the agenda. No more of those little viral TMZ sports videos and stuff. We're focusing in here on 2021. It's going to be daily fantasy sports and specifically single player daily fantasy sports from here on out. That's my pledge, my promise to you. I want to help you guys win more money. So I appreciate you tuning in. Good luck tonight. And until the next one, this is CJ for Out of Bounds. We'll catch you then. Peace.